Hi, my name's Malvika Singh, and my mentor is Will Fraker. And for this project, we examined the relationship between bilingual code switching and executive functioning. This project's area of focus was psycholinguistics and language studies, and we chose this topic because of the keen interest that I shared to Will about understanding how code switching works and just overall bilingual studies. So, imagine this scenario. Imagine sitting at lunch with a friend and deciding to shoot a quick text to mom. As you pull up the app, the friend continues to talk about the new Deadpool movie that they saw last weekend. You continue to listen to the friend while texting mom about picking up your cleats for practice when you realize that for the last 5 seconds, you've been typing the lyrics to NSYNC's Bye 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 that your friend was singing. This scenario and many just like it are examples of a lapse in executive functioning. We've all experienced something like this and we might have just brushed it off, but it's really interesting how that works. So, speaker lost focus on separating these two tasks at hand, and mixing them together, resulting in a very confusing message to mom. In this paper, I explored the relationship between bilingualism, code switching, and executive functioning, and particularly how intentional code switching, which I will discuss later, enhances cognitive control. The three main key terms that I wanted to share with you guys in this presentation, while there are a lot more, these three main ones, which are bilingualism, the ability to speak and understand two languages, code switching, alternating between languages within a single conversation, and executive functioning, which is the cognitive abilities for planning, organization, and attention, and yeah, which is basically related to all of like your behavioral decisions and like how you pick and choose things you do. My core question for this project was, does intentional code switching correlate with enhanced executive functioning? So to answer this question, I primarily explored three papers and divided my findings between unintentional code switching and intentional code switching to analyze the results that researchers found and to understand if my claim was correct. So the variables that I found were mainly considered across these three main papers were age, environment, and familiarity with both languages. Um, the methodology and tasks that I found in these papers, all of them that I analyzed, were the following: the Stroop task, which is a linguistic task that measures attention and inhibitory control; the flanker task, which is a non-linguistic task which measures selective attention and inhibitory control; and the Simon conflict task, which is also a non-linguistic task which measures response time and spatial compatibility. These tasks are used to test a bilingual speaker's the reaction time, which can put them on the scale of showing improved cognitive control or lessened cognitive control or null findings, which were expressed across these papers. Here are the visual examples of these tasks. So to begin, the one primary finding I found for unintentional code switching that I analyzed in my project was that unintentional code switching often correlates with poor executive functioning. And this is shown where children with limited proficiency in a second language or a non-native language may code switch more frequently, which reflects a lack of inhibitory control. Um, it is also shown as like a sign of like laziness because they rely on their first language or primary language as a crutch. Therefore, they're not actively practicing suppressing one language, rather falling back on one to resolve a like forgetting a word or something like that. Moving on, so with intentional code switching, one finding that I analyzed in my project is where intentional code switching correlates with better executive functioning. This is shown with adults in a dual language context, which is a context where the speaker, both of their languages are used, but they're used separately, so they don't overlap and they don't intertwine. Therefore, the speaker like practices and learns how to separate them, which exhibits enhanced cognitive control, practicing suppression of one language to train their executive functioning skills. This is important because when a person speaks both languages, a common misconception is that you can like turn on a language in your head and like your brain just moves to that singular lexicon or like vocabulary of like language. But in reality, bilinguals or just multilinguals in general, they have to like choose their like which language they're speaking and they have to like work focus on that language to make sure that they speak in that fully and don't drift off into another one, which is what dual language contexts can help practice can help the individual practice. My overall conclusions for this were that intentional code switching is linked to higher executive functioning, offering valuable insight into cognitive processes. To continue in further research to learn about this relationship, I believe investigating variables like cultural context and age of language exposure influence these findings. I think it'd be really interesting to compare two people that speak the same two languages like French and English, or maybe Spanish and French, and analyze their like background, like where they're from, what their parents spoke, where they might have learned their languages, and such, because it's found that like it's very hard to place bilinguals under like the same category because everybody comes from different cultural contexts. Therefore, there's no like one mold that fits all for a bilingual or a multilingual because where they learn the language, how they learn it, how old they are when they learn it, that all are those are different variables that make it very difficult for researchers to understand. So this graphic right here, where I'm seeing what we know is 1% of bilingualism is because only recently researchers have been doing a deep dive into the world of bilingualism and understanding it because a common misconception before was that very few people are bilingual and it doesn't really exhibit much like much relevance. However, about less than half of the world population is actually bilingual, and as examined in this paper and in other studies alike, um, in other studies, there are some cognitive benefits and possibly other benefits that we have yet to find. So there's so much that we don't know and we still need to explore. So thank you so much. I hope you learned something new. I really enjoyed doing this project. I learned a lot of new things and had some misconceptions corrected, and I hope to continue and learn even more about bilingualism, study in linguistics, and such. Thank you so much.